Good morning. Ooh. Last night, where I'm at, we had some excitement. But it'll be on a future video. Anyways, so check this out. I had picked up a Carlsbad magazine, and look what they have in there. Can you read backwards? Good. It says the People's Lagoon. And that's where I was at. Look it. Yeah. I mean, a centerfold. My baby is a centerfold. That's pretty awesome. So, read a little bit about that. So today, let's see, what do we do? I love Sundays. I absolutely love Sundays. There's just something very peaceful about Sundays. I don't know. I like them. I mean, I like every day, but Sundays especially. Like, there's no like mad rush anywhere. It's just a very peaceful day. You know, even driving and stuff. You can sense it on the road. Like, people are a little bit more relaxed on Sunday. So, I don't know. It's always been my favorite. And let's see. What are we doing today? Today, we are still in beautiful Carlsbad, California. If you've never been, you have to come visit. You do. You have to, like, experience everything about Carlsbad. I still haven't even like touched the surface. I haven't even gone. I have in the past. I've gone to downtown Carlsbad, but on this trip I have not. And so my only concern with a lot of the downtown areas, with a lot of different little, you know, places I go to, it's just the parking. Parking is just really difficult and limited. And so for me, it's easier to go like where it's not so congested, and then just find things on the outskirts. But I do plan to go back, because I remember I went there with a girlfriend of mine a few years ago, and we had breakfast there, and we went to thrift stores, and we just shopped and looked around, and it was really fun. And so I want to go back and visit a couple of those places. So I am going to take you along with me. And what else? I'd like to know what you guys think so far of my videos, and if you have any suggestions. I'm always up for constructive criticism, and I mean, I'm still gonna do what I do. I have a different style than a lot of people, and that's just me. And I think I want to, like, even take it a different direction. I've been kind of thinking that it's got to serve a purpose, you know. I want to document my travels for sure, because I want to look back on this and go, oh yeah, I remember this, and just have the fond memories of, you know, this experience. But I also want to make an impact. I want to serve a purpose while I'm on the road. I don't want to just, you know, just be mindless and, you know, just going from one place to another without like any real purpose, you know. I just feel it. I feel it in my spirit. I feel it in my heart. I feel like I just want more divine appointments. I want more, like, I've had a few, and I thank God for those, but I want more of those. And a lot of times I just keep them very private to myself. There's a verse in the Bible that says, don't let your right hand know what your left hand's doing, or something like that, you know. And it's basically like, don't brag, you know, don't show off the things that you do. Like, keep it you know, private. And But at the same time, there's like a thin line, because you want to be an example and you want to encourage others to do similar things. So you just never know. Like, you have to balance it. It's like, when do I share? When do I not share? I do kind of want to share this one thing that happened recently. I have a friend who moved to Florida, and she's much younger than me. We met at a church gathering. The Lord just told me to go say hi to her, and I was just like, we have nothing in common, you know. Like, I always argue with God, you know, and he always wins. He always wins. But I do argue with him, you know. It's just natural, you know. Like, when you don't want to do something, you're gonna argue. You're gonna, like, you know, resist. And so I was just like, I didn't see the purpose, you know. I didn't understand it, and I didn't do it at first. But then, you know, God kept on, like, you know, tugging me to go say hi to her. And so I did. I went up to her and I sat down next to her, and I just started talking to her. And you can tell she wanted nothing to do with me. She would just, you know, was very, like, in her own little world. And but I broke her down. Yeah, so we became really good friends, and I became like a mama to her. And we well, she moved. The Lord told her to move to Florida. So she's a nurse, and she actually volunteered for the NICU, for the COVID unit. And, you know, she was just like, God's going to protect me, and I'm going, and I'm signing up. And she signed up, you know, I met her in San Diego, and she signed up in that department. And then she got another job in Florida, and she signed up for that specific department, and she was protected. And she just felt like that's where she was called, and she didn't have any fear. I remember I got COVID. I believe it was COVID. At the very beginning, I remember just laying in bed. I could not move. Like, for 3 days. I had a hard time. Just everything ached. I was, you know, having, like, fever. Just felt like I had just been run over by a truck. And I remember she called me, and she's like, Anna, we're gonna pray for you. She was at church, and, like, they were having church, like a small gathering, very, like, hush hush, because people weren't allowed to gather. And so she's like, Anna, we're gonna pray for you. So we're gonna do it right now. And so they started praying for me. This is a good group of people, probably like less than 12 people, and they literally started praying for me. And I literally felt this heaviness just lift off of me, and I, like, got out of bed, jumped in the shower, and drove to San Diego. And at the time, I lived about 2.5 hours away, and it was just like, as soon as they prayed, I was fine. And I have another story about my son too. He got healed from COVID too. So yeah, I went down to San Diego and just, you know, was just in the presence of God and just thanking him and everything. And then I've never been sick since. And so her and I, it's not like we parted ways, but, you know, she moved away. And so we weren't, like, connecting, like, on a regular basis like normal, because, you know, she's living in another state. We're not seeing each other, and she's busy. She works 12-hour shifts. And but she'll touch in, you know, she'll, like, send me a picture here or there, and she'll like stay connected. And then, so anyways, a couple days ago, I just got a text message saying that she sent me money through Cash App for Christmas. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, that's really sweet. And I thanked her. And then I started thinking, like, wait a minute. Like, I really feel this was what I had asked God for, as far as, like, confirmation. Because what happened was, I was at a laundromat. Well, first it started with the guy at Cracker Barrel. He was living in his truck, and he was parked in the back of Cracker Barrel, and the Lord told me, go talk to him. And I was like, I'm not talking to him. And you know, as a single woman, you don't, and you're parking there for a few days, like, and then there's a truck there, like, you don't want to go talk to a random guy living in a truck. I didn't know at the time, you know, who he was and everything. And the Lord told me, go talk to him. And I'm like, I'm not talking to him. And then the second day, the Lord told me, go talk to him. And I was resistant. I was like, no, I'm not talking to him. And then that's when I saw him, you know, just, the truck was started, it was running, but he was like slumped over on the, steering wheel. And, later I checked with one of the workers that arrived, and, you know, had said, you know, somebody needs to check on him. I mean, so the Lord's telling me to check on him, but I'm telling other people to check on him. It's funny. I didn't even think about that. So anyways, the next day, or maybe it was the same day, Lord told me to, you know, go talk to him. And his truck was gone, right? His truck was gone. I'm like, see, his truck's gone. Like, I don't need to talk to him. Like, he's gone. And I said, God, you know, I'm going to go back there one more time. I needed to do something. There was something there, and I needed to do. I don't know if I was taking something back at Petco, but I was just like, okay, if he's there, I will talk to him. So I pull up, his truck's gone. I'm like, see, he's not here. And so I start to leave, and right then his truck pulls up. And I'm like, oh my goodness, what timing. So his truck pulls up, he parks. So I walk over to him, I introduce myself to him, and you could tell he's a little leery. He's just like, you know, like, am I in trouble? What do you want? And I'm just like, hi, you know, my name's Anna. What's your name? And he said his name was Andy. And I said, Andy, I said, you know, I don't know if you believe in God, but I do. And he's been wanting me to come talk to you. And he sees you, he knows you, and he loves you, and you're not forgotten, you're not forsaken. And is there anything that you need? And he's just like, no, I don't need anything. And I'm like, is there anything you want? And I felt the Lord say, give him your window coverings. And I was like, what? What? And he's like, no, I don't, you know, want anything. And I'm like, okay, well, I just want to bless you and just, you know, wish you the best and everything. And the Lord still wouldn't let me leave. He's just like, give him your window coverings. And I'm like, why would he need window coverings? Like, you would need a blanket and pillow more than anything. So I'm like, hey, do you have a blanket and a pillow? And he goes, yeah, I got a blanket and pillow. I go, okay. I started to walk away. The Lord's like, give him your window coverings. So I'm like, I go back. I'm like, I want to give you my window coverings. Do you have window coverings? He goes, no, I don't. And I actually need window coverings. And I'm like, okay, you can have mine. And he's like, really? And I'm like, yeah. I said, you can have mine. And so I went and got my window coverings, and I took him to him, and he thanked me. And then I started to leave, and the Lord said, give him $20. And I was just like, my window coverings and my money. So I go up to him, I go, hey, here's $20, you know, go get yourself whatever you want, but, you know, maybe get something to eat. Lunch is on me, and the Lord loves you. And so then I left, and you can tell, he's like, wait, what's your name? He goes, where are you from? And I'm like, I'm just traveling through, but the Lord loves you. And you want to make sure that people know it's not you. I mean, it is you, but it's, you know, God working through you, because these are not things that you want to do. You know, this is like your flesh and your nature doesn't want to give away your stuff, you know, and that's when you know it's the Lord. When you have certain things that like you need, and the Lord's telling you, like, give it to this person, you know. So, and I always resist, but you know what? Every single time, God has always like paid it back. And so I don't know why I resist, because he's always been good to give it back. So then I left. Then I was at another place at a laundromat, and this girl, I call it getting highlighted. This girl got highlighted to me. And so I go up to her and I'm like, hey, I go, you're an artist. And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, I go, oh, okay. I go, well, I'm just, passing through here, and I just wanted to know, like, do you live here? And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, well, where's a good place to park and, not get bothered at night and everything. And so, she had a van, and so she told me a street to go to, and I'm like, okay. And then, so I was at a laundromat, and I was doing my laundry and everything, and the Lord told me to go and bless her. And so I'm like, again, I'm resisting it. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to say. A lot of times he just wants us to be willing, and then once we get to the person, like, God will show us what we need to do. It's just that going, And I'm a kind of person, like, I want to know ahead of time, like, what do you want? How? I want to know, like, everything ahead of time. And that's not how God works. He's more like, go, and then I'll tell you when you get there. So I was just like, okay. So I go up to her, and I said, can I bless you? Can I, will you allow me to bless you? And she's like, sure. And I'm like, okay. And so then I pull out $20, and I said, I just want to bless you with this. And she's like, no, I don't need it. I said, it's not about needing it. It's about allowing me to bless you. Like, I don't look at you and think, oh, she's poor and she needs it. It's not about that. It's about allowing me to bless you, and for you to learn how to receive, because we can't be good givers if we can't be good receivers. That's one thing I've learned. It's like, if you can't receive, then how can you give with the right intentions? Because you're kind of like saying, okay, I'm good enough to give, but I would never receive. So then if you say you never receive, you're basically saying that a person that receives is in a lower position, and it's like you wouldn't be in that position, and so then you're looking down on someone when you're giving, and it's not about that. And so you have to learn to receive graciously. And a lot of times I will tell people, like, hey, don't block my blessing, because I know I'm going to get blessed. I know it's going to come back to me some way. That doesn't mean that it's going to come back like always financially. It could be anything. And so I tell people, like, hey, don't block my blessing. I'm giving because God wants me to give, and like, it comes around, and so so she kind of was just like, she's like, okay, you're right. It makes sense. Like, we should, give, and we should receive. And I said, if you're not comfortable with taking this money, like, you can always, like, give it to someone else. Like, you don't have to keep it. You can, pass the kindness forward. I go, but, and then there's a guy there, and he's just like, hey, that's confirmation. You and I were just talking about how expensive gas is, and now look at, she gave you money. And she's like, yeah. And I go, well, bless you and take care. People get really funny when you, like, I can tell people that don't believe, like, they believe in God, like the big God. Like, I used to believe in just God, but then there's people that have a relationship with Jesus. Like, he's been real enough, and the Holy Spirit has just, like, come and, like, I don't know, for me, the Holy Spirit was a game changer. Before, it was just religion. Who wants religion? Like, I want relationship. And so that's when things changed for me, when it became, like, intimate and became real. And I put God through a lot of tests, and one of my past videos will show that I put God through tests, and there's other tests that I put him through, and he just continued, to show himself. And I don't know why. I still don't know why, because, you know, as a teenager, I always like, I cried out for God and he never came through then. And so I just really like hardened my heart because I was just like, okay, there is no God. You know, he didn't answer. And looking back, sometimes unanswered prayers are answered prayers. You know, they build your character. They build your tendency to have like a fighting spirit, an overcoming spirit. So if you're just given everything, you know, you get emotionally stunted. You get stunted in a lot of ways. So it builds who you are when you're told no sometimes, you know. So anyways, okay, so then I've already given out, you know, $40, right? And plus my window coverings. So then I'm just like, okay, I need to go get some window coverings now. So I went and got some new window coverings, and I think I spent like $26, right? And so then I go and I check my mail. I have a post office box. So I go check my post office box, and I get a random check for $15. And it was like for some settlement or something, you know, that I had never even applied for. But, you know, they have people on the list, I guess, that bought a product, and I forget what this was for. I had done business with some company and they had been sued, and so I got part of that settlement. So I was like, okay, cool, you know, $15, okay. And I was thinking, like, that's not, you know, the full amount that I've given out, but it, you know, we're getting there. And then when my friend sent me $50, I was like, oh my gosh, you know, that totals up like what I had given out and what I had spent. And so I thought about it, and I texted her, and I'm like, you know what? I go, this is weird. I go, I said, and I told her, you know, kind of like what had happened. And I said, and then you sent the 50, and that makes up exactly what I've given out. So God did repay it. And it just kind of increased my faith, you know? And she's like, you know what? She goes, I didn't even like, not that she didn't want to do it, but she's like, I'm really, really being careful with my money, and I really don't have that money to like be given out. But she goes, I just felt like God wanted me to give it to you, and to give extravagantly in other areas too, because we're not operating out of like man's kingdom, we're operating out of heaven's kingdom. And, you know, the word says that God, you know, owns the cattle on 1,000 hills. And so that means he owns, I mean, this is back in the old days, how they, you know, like measured wealth or whatever, you know, was like cattle. And so it basically means, you know, like he owns it all. He does. He owns it all. And I always declare that verse, the wealth of the wicked will be laid up for the just. So, you know, I'll take money from anyone and anything. And I've got some stories about that too, where I've been given so much money from so many random places. I mean, one year, I can't even count. I mean, I literally was starving, and I just had money given to me like right and left, and sustained me. And yeah, I've gone through highs and I've gone through lows. I've gone through times when it's just like, you know, I had nothing. And then times when I've had just way more than I could even, you know, need or want. And, you know, growing up, we grew up very poor. My family grew up very poor. We grew up rich, and then we grew up poor. So we've had both. And so I can adjust to either. You know, it's not like I freak out if I don't have money. And it's not like I get, you know, like my nose goes up in the air if I have a lot. You know, it's like I stay consistent because I know what it's like on both sides, you know. So anyways, yeah, I just wanted to share that story where, like, you know, God brought it back. And, you know, the one area where God does say test me is in the area of finances. You know, as far as like giving, he says, you know, like, test me in this area, like, test me. And I'm the kind of person, like, when the pandemic hit and our church closed the doors, our pastor said, you know, our doors are closed. Instead of giving us your tithes, give it to places and people where you see the need. You know, so if there's somebody that's lost their job, you know, somebody in a hardship, like, give it there. Like, we're fine. And because the church that I was going to was like very hands-on. Like, they fed the poor. They you know, they took the money and they used it wisely. They were always out and about on the streets. They were always you know, opening up their doors for people. They were they were ministering on the streets. They were feeding people. Just, you know, they're very giving. And so they just felt like, you know, hey, you know, we're not here, and you know what the need is. I mean, they would use that money for the need that we could also use that money for. And so I thought, you know, that's really good. You know, like, I know where I'm out and about. I know where it's needed. And so I've continued to do that. Instead of giving my tithes to my church, I have continued to give where the Lord has guided me to give. And I think if you find a church that's a good steward with the money, you know, like, and they're feeding the poor, they're doing what, you know, the old church, so-called church, was doing, you know, which is, you know, taking care of the widows and the orphans, and, you know, feeding the poor and all that stuff. Like, if they're doing that, then by all means, you know, like, support that. But anyways, so I feel like we are the church. Like, the church is not a building. We are the church. We're the body. We're the body, and we're the church, and we're the eyes, hands, mouth, everything. And so I don't necessarily have to give it to the middleman, you know, like, I can give it directly where I see the need. And so a lot of times God will show me where the need is, and he'll tell me, you know, like, how much, or just bless them, you know, like, he lets me, you know, decide. I remember one time he was just like, give them whatever's in your wallet. And I was just like, what? And I gave that person whatever was in my wallet. And yeah, I'll share that story another time. So anyways, I don't know why I got into that. I guess yeah, I just wanted to talk about, like, having a different purpose with my travels and with my channel, because I don't feel like I'm just on the road for me, you know. I feel like lives need to be touched, transformed, changed, just like mine has been. And so if I can be a vessel for that, then I want to do that, you know. So I know I'm not going to attract certain people, and I'm fine with that, because I want my channel and my viewers to be the ones that God brings, you know. And I don't want it to just be a selfish thing. I want it to be something that can be used, you know, for good. Because I don't know how long I'm going to be here, and I don't know how long I will have this rig, you know. And so while I have it, I want to be a good steward with it and be wise. And at the same time, share the possibilities of places that you can come visit and explore, and give encouragement and hope to those that are thinking about, you know, having this kind of lifestyle, because it's doable, you know. But anyways, that's the direction that I'm heading. And so I just wanted to kind of like prepare people. And I know this video is kind of lengthy and I probably lost a lot of people, but I have faith that the right people will be here. So I guess this is going to be my video for today. Maybe I'll share another one of where I'm at, and I probably will, because I want to continue to you know, just share and document my experiences, and hopefully you'll continue to enjoy and follow and subscribe. Subscribe. I need to remember to add that little thing, but you know what, like, people, I mean, if they like you, they're gonna subscribe, you know. So again, have a blessed day, and I'll catch you on the next video. Okay, bye-bye.